So this week, I just went through one of the toughest breakups. It was rough. It was really rough. I mean, we spent like every free moment together. They were always there for me, never judged me. I mean, I thought it was going so well, and then all of a sudden, I mean, we even started businesses together. Planned a wedding, we traveled, we helped raise a kid, but I guess then there was nothing left. So they just left. It ended. It was like, it rocked my world. I didn't really know what to do, but Rory went off to college, so there was really no more that the story could do. I mean, the story had run its course, but I mean, having been there every minute for me, anytime I needed, right there, I don't even know what I'm gonna do at this point. I mean, what do you do when like your best friend just suddenly leaves you and it's who you counted on the whole time? And then they just leave, they're gone, and it's just you and your ice cream and your Kleenex. Why is it so hard? I mean, seriously, this should not be this hard. But when Gilmore Girls ended, like, those were my best friends. They broke up with me, and they were just gone. Have you ever been that emotionally attached to a TV show? I mean, like Lorelai says, I'm afraid that once your heart's involved, it all comes out in moron. And it does. Like, I don't know about you, but getting that emotionally affected by a TV show happens to me. I mean, these become my best friends. I spend every waking minute with them sometimes. It might be a little unstable. But these people become the most important people in your lives, and you form relationships with them if you're watching them all the time. So your emotions are affected by what you expose yourself to most often, just like me and Gilmore Girls. So when it ended, I was truly devastated. I mean, devastated. The same thing happened with Downton Abbey and Friends. They all left me too. It was so upsetting. Okay, well, if you don't already know me, I'm Suzanna Kaye. I am the owner of Spark Organizing and creator of 365 Project. And I'm the recovering addict of Gilmore Girls, who recently left me, and Friends, and Downton Abbey. I mean, all of this has just completely controlled my lives so much. I'm sorry for those of you who I worried. Jeff and I are fine. But yes, like you said, Anselm, like NCIS, when they move or you don't have access to them or the same way, sometimes we've built our lives around these shows and they become part of who we are and they become our best friends. What would you guys refer to, like, which shows have you found this to be true in your own life? Because I know that I've had many, many shows where I have felt like my best friends were gone once they ended. Don't even get me started on Firefly. Still upset 15 years later, Firefly is still a tragedy that it ended. But it's what you let into your life that can help determine whether you are happy or not. It's all about choosing who's in your life, whether it's TV, Facebook. Too much of a good thing, like my Gilmore Girl binge, and yes, it was a binge. Too much of a good thing can really be trouble. Too much of a dark subject can really be trouble. I see that like Ruth has Grey's Anatomy, Game of Thrones, Firefly, every new Doctor. Right, Doctor Who, they keep leaving me over and over. That's terrible. And that breaks my heart every time because I love the old one. I don't want the new one. I don't like them at first. You know, give me a like if you agree, because every time that Doctor changes, I swear I'm going to hate the new one. Hi, Mike. It's good to see you. And Leanne. Yes, Leanne, I got to eat ice cream. Good excuse. I'm glad you all joined me because this is actually one of the things that I have experienced so much in my own life, and I find that most of my clients go through this as well. We either go through too much of a good thing or we're letting things into our lives that are not bringing us happiness, that are bringing us down. So for example, my Gilmore Girl binge because it was a binge, and I mean like all out binge, there were like some days that I was not up off the couch because I was just watching it nonstop, but this Gilmore Girl binge that I went on took over my life. They became my best friends, and then when the show ended, I was truly devastated. I did not know what I was going to do without Lorelai and Rory. I needed somebody to have snarky remarks and need extra coffee, and I felt really empty. But that's because I'd allowed too much of it in and to take over my life, and I'd kind of lost what made me me and what made me happy and what else I could do besides sit on the couch and watch Rory complain and Lorelai be snarky. I just lost the sense of what I do in my spare time. So that too much of a good thing seriously made my life very difficult for about a week. I grieved. Also, I know myself really well to know that dark subjects are not something I can handle much of, no matter how much I want to. So, for example, Orange is the New Black. Love that show. Love, love, love that show. Another one I can binge, but if I do, I go into a dark place myself after a while. I start to get more depressed. I don't see all the joys around me anymore, and it brings me down. So I choose not to watch some of these shows that I can't not binge because I'm an impulsive person. I know this about myself. That's one of those ADHD qualities too, if anybody out there has ADD or ADHD. Impulsivity is a thing. And I know I can't always stop myself from binging, so sometimes I choose not to watch things that are really interesting. Like Game of Thrones, like Kelly said, I can't watch Game of Thrones because I know it will bring me into a darker place where I don't want to be. Like the Braveheart movie. I remember years ago when that was in the movie theater, going out to see it, I almost threw up. I was so upset at the end. Like literally dry heaving in the movie theater. My father was a little concerned. So I'm highly affected by this. And a lot of people are, especially the creative types. All of us emotional, our empath types, our creative types, we're really connected to the other human experiences around us. And it can cause problems by allowing too much of that into your life. And I'm not saying don't watch Game of Thrones or Orange is the New Black, but be aware of how it's affecting you. Be aware of how it's bringing you down. Another thing lately that I've seen a lot of people having trouble with is the news. I mean, yes, it's good to know what's going on in the world, especially because we do need to be a voice. We do need to stand up for what the changes are that we need to see and speak our minds as far as contacting our congressmen, doing whatever we need to do to make the change we need to make. But if we spend the whole day focusing on some of these really tough subjects and these really negative stories, that is simply going to increase our anxiety and our fear in the world as a whole, and it's not serving us. We get nothing by re-watching news stories over and over and over. And the news makes their money by just rehashing all of the negativity. Negativity is what sells. So cutting out the news is a huge one. I know me, I listen to like 2 5-minute podcasts in the morning, one from each side of the fence, so I can make my own decisions about how to skew it on my own. But that's it. Then I let it go for the day. If something major happens, trust me, everybody will be talking about it. I won't miss a thing. It's hard to even turn on Facebook without seeing some of the news headlines if something big happens. So I've actually not heard from the news the latest big things that have happened. I've always heard it from somebody around me who mentioned them, and then I could go and look it up from sources that I wanted to find information from, and only the amount of information that I really needed, instead of dwelling on it and watching it over and over. So if you got the news running all the time and you're constantly checking it, not that much is changing. It's just probably bringing you down and increasing that anxiety level to like a 10 sometimes. Finally, another thing that I've seen with organizing throughout my entire business is catalogs and magazines. All of these catalogs and magazines that come into our lives, and trust me, I know it's hard to get rid of them because even when you ask them to stop, they don't always. But they give you a sense of lack. Like either you're not good enough or you don't have something that everybody else has, or there's one thing that's going to make your life different and better, and you need to go out and buy it or read this article because as you are, you're not good enough and you're not doing it right enough. This is a bad message to keep sending yourself. So as far as magazines and catalogs, I really only get one catalog and one magazine. And those are the only two that I found that truly serve me, that make a difference. The magazine is, of course, an organizing magazine. So I learn what the latest trends are and some tips and products and things like that. And it's got some DIY stuff that I actually like to be able to do. And then the catalog is educational toys catalog for my stepdaughter. Those are the only two that I allow into my life because the negativity that comes from just exposing myself to that sense of lack and not good enough isn't worth it. If I need to buy something, I can go research it online. I can find a magazine or a catalog then. All the subscriptions are gone. So, what I'm asking of you today is to really think about what you're allowing into your life right now. What sources of information, what sources of entertainment, and what are the tones? And then really pay attention as you're watching these things or reading these things. How's it affecting you? Even Facebook, depending on who's in your friends list and who you have allowed on your timeline and news feeds, that can be extremely, extremely negative for you in your life. I know I have cut out of my news feed all of the people who are doing all the political rants. I have taken out all the people who complain a lot or list negative posts. It's just not something I need in my life. Whenever I want to find out what they're up to, I can go to their profile, double check what's going on with them, respond to the things that I choose to respond to, and then hop right back out. I don't need it finding me. Not only that, but on Facebook, I know I don't even look at the news feed 99% of the time because it's not really catching me up with the people who are most important to me. I have a list of people, or I think of specific people and I hop over to their profile as needed. I don't just scroll through the news feed. I go directly to my activities so I can see who's actually conversing with me and what's going on as far as conversations that I've either initiated or jumped into. And it's a lot healthier than being given some of this negative information or negative viewpoints or getting all riled up. So, limit your time even on the good things. If it's becoming a bit too much, like my Gilmore Girls binge, whenever I find a good show, I do have to limit my time. I'm very aware of how many hours I spend watching a show, so that way I'm not losing myself in it. Reduce or remove some of the negatives, those news shows, the catalogs, the magazines, the negative shows with darker themes. Either reduce them or I had to completely remove them because it's just too negative for me. Cut them down to bite size, like the news podcasts, whatever you need to do. But notice how they're affecting you. The first step is just notice. See after watching a couple of episodes of Games of Thrones, are you happy or are you feeling kind of a little bit more down and depressed and negative? Also, replace your old addictions, like my Friends addiction, my Sex and the City addiction, my Downton Abbey addiction, my Firefly addiction, and I could go on. But replace them with new habits and new hobbies. What can you do in that time instead? For me, I know that I replaced it with more writing. I really enjoyed, instead of watching TV, having something going on around me like music or a non-focusing TV show that I might have seen 5 million times, like Big Bang Theory. Just have that play while I do my writing. And it's been really nice because then I'm doing something for me and something I'm expressing myself. Reading, board games, drawing, and doodling. These are some of the things that I've started to add in to replace the spot that the Gilmore Girls type of binge TV was taking up. So I'm able to express myself and able to meet myself even more. And by having those quiet moments, I'm also able to accept myself and like myself more. So those quiet moments are when all of the self-talk comes up in our head and we can make choices on it instead of running away from it. I know a lot of times in the past, not recently, but in the past, I've used TV to escape so that I don't think anymore and I can focus on something different, at least somewhat focus on something different. and I can avoid all of the thoughts in my head and all of the processing of things going on in my life. But that avoidance meant that I was never dealing with it because I was filling my time with every moment with something, so I did not have to listen to it. Once I got quiet and learned to do such things like reading and drawing, that's when I really started to notice what was going on in my head. And then I could back it off. I could make a different choice. I could make a different answer to the script that was going on. And therefore I could like myself more because I really understood what I was thinking and what I was feeling. And I reframed some of the things I was telling myself. And I reframed some of the problems that I'd been gnawing on in my head without even realizing it. So I'd analyze the problems and see that they're really not as bad as my head was building them up. But with all the noise, I didn't notice. So, yes, and some. I'm glad that this has been affirming some of the decisions that you've been making. Because, my goodness, it's such a huge difference if we all just make sure that we're tuned into the energy that we're getting from these things. Then it can be life-changing. So what will you cut back on or cut out in your life? I would love to know. Let me know if there's anything that you think that you might want to cut back on a little bit. And it's not even have to be TV or social media. Sometimes it's certain activities that are no longer bringing you joy, that maybe you're doing it because you feel an obligation. Or maybe there's a friend who you might have used to been really close to, but now maybe they've become really negative and you can't help them out of that negative space. Being there is just not helping anymore. So sometimes we just need to separate a little bit in order to not bring ourselves down, but also because our being there is no longer serving them. And we just need to take a break from the friendship. Think about what things in your life are no longer serving you, what's either too much noise or what is too much negativity, and how you can cut that back or cut it out completely. And I'd love to know what you decide to cut back on or cut out, because this has been such a huge topic for several clients that I've had recently, and I know that it's not just them and me. So I'm glad that I'm glad, Mary, that you don't watch the news anymore, because I don't miss it either. I don't miss seeing the news. It was bringing me down. I get enough from those 2 5-minute podcasts. And yeah, Mary Hendrick, the first one was Mary Ellis. Mary Hendrick, stepping away from 30-plus year friendship. I've been there. I've not 30, but like 20 years. And it's hard, but it's really the only way sometimes to help yourself and help them sometimes make a change, because staying there no longer serves them. Thank you both so much for sharing. I'm sure that so many people can relate to some of these things that we've gone through, and we don't talk about it enough. So it's a subject that needs to be talked about more. This week I did want to do my shout outs. I know I had a different intro, so it was a little crazier. It's kind of hard to do a shout out while eating ice cream, but I'll try, because ice cream. So, my shout-outs this week. On the YouTube channel, we had Servio. If you did not see it on the 3 Ways to Stay Focused ADHD episode, he did a great comment on how to manage distractions. Just hop on over there and listen to his comment and see what he does to manage his distractions. We also have some new subscribers. Welcome, Ashley and John. This one's for you. Thanks for joining us. I love our new subscribers, and also the Rocket Book video, if you've not seen it on the YouTube channel, it passed 9,000 views this week. I'm super excited. Can't wait until it gets to over 10,000 views, but that one's been a really fun one, and everybody's been loving the Rocket Book and giving me great feedback on it. So if you've not checked out the Rocket Book video, over 9,000 other people have. Maybe you should join in. Also, I will post a link in the comments or the show notes if you're on YouTube. I'll post a link, but you can get updates on the ADHD for High School Success course coming up. You can also text me. You could text me at 44222. That's text the number 44222 and text the word focused. 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 I feel like I'm in a spelling bee. But either send me the text or click the link when I add it below, or if it's in the YouTube, it'll be below and in the show notes. And I will send you updates on the ADHD for high school course that's going to be published at the end of July. I will also send you any of the bonuses that I create for it, because I'm in the process of creating some really cool, fun bonuses and useful things that you can just start doing now to help your ADHD and get a little bit more done, get more focus, and feel just a little bit more in control, because I think, couldn't we all use a little bit more control in our lives? I'm here every Thursday at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank you so much for hanging in with me, despite my strange introduction this week. But hey, ice cream, I encourage everybody to hop in and grab some of your own. If you've not checked out the 365 Project, it's at my365project.com. That is the course that I created that can do a quick change to your life in your home. Just an email a day, that's all you need. It's about 5 minutes of your life, and it will change how you think about your home, which will therefore change your home. So remember, when you're procrastinating, after you've grabbed some ice cream, finished your Gilmore Girls episode, remember, it's not that hard. It won't take that long. I'm sure I can do it or learn as I go, and nobody will judge me. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode, and I hope that you all find a new hobby or fun thing to do instead of watching your TV, and cut out those negative things in your life, because who needs more negative, right? We've got enough as it is that we can't block. Knock out the ones that you can. Have a great week, and I will see you next time. I love you all.